Hello, this podcast is going to help you to understand how you're going to be completing your Unit 2 assessment in chemistry. Remember, Unit 2 has been all about the nucleus of atoms, the particles, the forces, and the processes that occur within the nuclei of the atom. Your unit assessment is going to assess your ability to develop representations of changes in the composition of the nucleus of the atom and the energy released during the processes of fission, fusion, and decay. So how are you going to be able to get this big learning target into one project? Well, let's break the learning target down. The first thing you need to be able to do is develop that representation. In order to do that, you are going to be creating a stop motion video. So let's talk a little bit about stop motion videos. Stop motion is an animation technique to make physically manipulated objects or persons appear to move on their own. So think about the little flip books that you created with the little stick figures when you were a kid. So in order to do this, basically you're going to break this down into three parts. The first thing you're going to do is actually create your model so that you can create your presentation. That presentation is going to be used as the backdrop for your video, and then you'll finally record that video. So let's talk first about how we're actually going to go ahead and create those models. There are three basic ways that you can create your model, your visual representation. The first is by a series of drawings. You can see here that if I were to look here at my little stick figure, and if I were to play this really fast, it would look like that stick figure was actually going ahead and doing its backflip. So you can go ahead and draw a series of pictures and then take pictures of them in order to create that appearance that the objects are moving. Or you can use physical objects and manipulate them. So you could use cutout pieces of paper or objects, pipe cleaners, buttons, anything that you could find to represent the atoms and the nuclei. And then again, you'd take pictures for your presentation. Or you could actually create slides. You can see here that each slide is a little bit different. So if I were to play them in sequence, it would appear as if this little Pac-Man was eating that blue dot. So those are your three options for creating your models. Drawing a series of pictures, manipulating physical objects, or actually creating slides using shapes. Now, the next thing you need to do is create your presentation. So whether you use the physical objects or drawings and took pictures or created your PowerPoint with slides, you are going to have each slide be one frame of your video. Then you are going to actually change the transition time. So you can have the transitions automatically move to the next slide, and you can set that time to make it appear as though your objects are actually in motion. Remember, one image per slide. Then you're going to record your video using screen capture software called Screencast-O-Matic. It's actually what I'm using right now to record this video. So let me walk you through how Screencast-O-Matic works. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go to screencast-o-matic.com, and the website looks just like this. Then you'll click Start Recording. When you click Start Recording, a box will pop up and you have all of these little buttons. You want to make sure that you are have full screen selected. Here's where you can decide to turn the camera on or off. You do not need to show your face in this video if you wish to keep that hidden. Here's where you can see the sound that's being recorded. So do a couple talks and you'll see some green lights pop up. That way you know it's capturing your voice. And when you're ready to record, you're going to hit that red button. But before you do, you want to open up your stop motion PowerPoint, or you could use Google Slides. Remember, you've set that transition to change automatically after a short period of time. And when you're ready, you're going to actually go ahead and play that slideshow. Now, when you're ready to record again, you just hit that record button. You can click to start your PowerPoint and then record your voice to describe what's happening as the PowerPoint plays. If you'd like to pause or stop the recording, you push the Alt button and the P button at the same time, and it'll actually pause it. It'll show a box that looks like this, and you can decide, oh, I want to restart, I messed up. You can click Done, and that will actually end your recording. Once you've ended the recording and you push Done, you're actually going to publish it to YouTube. Okay, and so when you click on that publish to YouTube, you want to give it a title here, and then you'll scroll down and actually publish it. Once it does that, it'll actually create a link to that particular podcast, and then you can share that link on your teacher's classroom website or spreadsheet, whatever your teacher indicates. So now we understand how we're going to actually develop those representations, creating that stop motion video. The next thing we want to take a look at is, well, how do we show the changes in the composition of the nucleus of the atom? Now remember, during our processes of fusion, fission, and decay, we might have changes that occur with the number of protons and the number of neutrons. We might also have processes that affect the stability of our particular atoms. You might want to focus on how the mass of those nuclei change. You could focus on the forces, the strong and the electromagnetic force, and how those forces are changing within the atom. And you could focus on conservation. Do the number of nucleons before match the number of nucleons after that particular process? So those are all things to consider, things you could discuss within your video. So we know how we're going to make the model, the representation using our stop motion. You know what you're going to talk about for the changes in the composition of the nucleus, but we also need to focus on the changes in the energy, okay, the energy that's released. So you want to focus on the type and the amount of energy released in each of those processes. Okay, so we've got the representation, we understand how to talk about the changes in the nucleus and with the energy, and now we just need to make sure we're talking about all three processes. So you need to talk about fusion, you need to talk about fission, and you need to talk about decay. So not only do you need to talk about the composition, how the composition changes in fusion, fission, and decay, but you need to talk about the energy released in fusion, fission, and decay. Now, in order to plan all of this, your video, your changes in the nucleus, your energy, and each of the three processes, you're going to be using a storyboard. And the storyboard generally looks like this. In the boxes, this is where you're actually going to draw or describe what you're going to show on the screen. So in my little fake video, I had a little Pac-Man, okay, and he was going to eat this, okay? And each time he got a little closer and a little closer until finally he was eating that particular object. The lines below are where you're going to write your script. So this is where you're going to write down the words that you're going to say as you show the particular diagrams, images, objects on the screen. Okay, and so when you record, after you've created your images using your drawings or your objects or your PowerPoint presentations, you're going to click through it and read the script as you record. So this planning document is going to be very useful for you to figure out, okay, what am I going to show and what am I going to say? Here's a really great example of one that's done about mitosis in biology class. So let's just take a quick look at what this whole process looks like. Big screen. So you can see that this group used clay to show the different processes of mitosis. Each time they took a picture, they moved the objects a little more. And so when they play the PowerPoint, okay, it looks as though those chromosomes are moving. So that's going to be your job when you discuss the processes of fusion, fission, and decay. All right, we can stop that there. All right, so I hope that this video helps you to understand how you're going to develop those representations of the changes in the composition of the nucleus of the atom and energy release during the process of fission, fusion, and decay. Have fun creating your videos.